This is a very important discovery. Comet discovered to have its own northern lights. How is that possible? An atmospheric light show previously regulated to planets and Jupiter moons is found on Comet using data from ESA's Rosetta spacecraft. It has to do with Comet, the comet that the Rosetta spacecraft landed on in 2014, Comet 67P Churyumov-Gerasimenko. Data from NASA's instruments aboard ESA European Space Agency Rosetta mission have helped reveal that Comet 67P has its own far ultraviolet aura. It's the first time such electromagnetic emissions in the far ultraviolet have been documented on a space object other than a planet or a moon. A paper on the findings was released today in the journal Nature Astronomy, and this is an article on nasa.gov. On Earth, aurora, also known as the northern or southern lights, are generated when electrically charged particles speeding from the sun hit the upper atmosphere of the Earth to create colorful shimmering lights of green, red, and white. Elsewhere in the solar system, Jupiter and some of its moons, as well as Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and even Mars, have all exhibited their own version of northern lights, but the phenomenon had yet to be documented in comets. Rosetta is space exploration's most traveled and accomplished comet hunter. It was launched in 2004. It orbited Comet 67P Churyumov-Gerasimenko, 67PCG for short, from August 2014 until its dramatic end-of-mission comet landing, September 2016. The data for this most recent study is on what mission scientists initially interpreted as a day glow, a process caused by photons of light interacting with the envelope of gas, known as the coma, that radiates from and surrounds the comet's nucleus. But new analysis of the data paints a very different picture. The glow surrounding 67PCG is one of a kind, said Marina Galland of Imperial College London, the lead author of the study. She said, by linking data from numerous Rosetta instruments, we were able to get a better picture of what was going on. This enables us to unambiguously identify how 67PCG's ultraviolet atomic emissions form. Now we know most comets are made up of ice, but this one looks as if it's made up of rock. Maybe it's not a comet, maybe it's an asteroid. Now, the data indicate 67PCG emission are actually auroral in nature, electrons streaming out in a solar wind, a stream of charged particles flowing out from the sun, interacting with the gas in the comet's coma, breaking apart water and other molecules. The resulting atoms give off a distinctive far ultraviolet light. Invisible to the naked eye, far ultraviolet has the shortest wavelengths of radiation in the ultraviolet spectrum. Exploring the emission of 67PCG will enable scientists to learn how the particles in the solar wind change over time, something that is crucial for understanding space weather throughout the solar system. By providing better information on how the sun's radiation affects the space environment they must travel through, such information could ultimately help protect satellites and spacecraft, as well as astronauts, of course, traveling to the moon and Mars. Rosetta is a gift that keeps on giving, said Paul Feldman, an investigator on ALICE at the Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore and co-author of the paper. He said the treasure trove of data it returned over its 2-year visit to the comet have allowed us to rewrite the book on these most exotic inhabitants of our solar system, comets that is, and by all accounts there is much more to come. Now, NASA's instruments aboard ESA's Rosetta. NASA supplied instruments contributing to this investigation. The Ion and Electron Sensor, IES instrument, detected the amount and energy of electrons near the spacecraft. The ALICE instrument measured the ultraviolet light emitted by the aurora, and the microwave instrument for the Rosetta orbiter, MIRO, measured the amount of water molecules around the comet. The MIRO instrument includes contributions from France, Germany, and Taiwan. Other instruments aboard the spacecraft used in the research for the Italian Space Agency's visible and infrared thermal imaging spectrometer, VIRTIS for short, the Langmuir probe LAP provided by Sweden, and the Rosetta Orbiter Spectrometer for Ion and Neutral Analysis Rosina, provided by Switzerland. Rosetta was an ESA mission, European Space Agency, with contributions from its member states and NASA. Rosetta Philae lander, which successfully landed on the comet in November 2014, was provided by a consortium led by the German Aerospace Center in Cologne, Max Planck Institute for Solar System Research in Gothenburg, Germany, the French National Space Agency in Paris, the Italian Space Agency Rome, a division of Caltech, NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, South California, managed the U.S. contribution of the Rosetta mission for NASA Space Mission Directorate in Washington. JPL also built the MIRO and hosts its principal investigator, Mark Hofstadter. The Southwest Research Institute, San Antonio and Boulder, Colorado, developed the Rosetta Orbiter's IES and ALICE instruments and hosts their principal investigators, James Birch, IES, and Joel Parker from ALICE. This is from Jet Propulsion Laboratory, Pasadena, California, Josh Handel, NASA Headquarters, Washington, and I'll leave a link below for you for the nasa.gov site that has this article and information. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.